Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could make it here today. Let's jump over to our cosmic weather, get things started here. All right. Spaceweather.com has our solar wind currently at 295.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is at a 1. Got the same old corona hold down here. And remember, we did have that flare that hit over the weekend, so we should be feeling some effects from that, either in the terms of geomagnetic storm activity, or perhaps the planetary K index going up. But it's been quiet, and it looks quiet. So, nonetheless, we should probably just be aware of such things. It's telling us that the sun's quiet, but over the weekend, remember, it did have the flares. Okay, so now, moving astrologically over to today. Today we are at the 6th of November. We're going to look at our moon sign. The moon sign is Leo. The sun sign for today is Scorpio. So we have Scorpio on the conscious mind, sun sign, unconscious, which is the moon sign, is Leo. Leo is fire. Scorpio is water. So those are two elements. That's what we're looking for. We're looking at the elements involved, fire and water. In this case, fire is underneath, water's on the top. Think of it like a pot of water on the stove. You got to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to boil over, so you want to keep the heat a bit low. The heat in this case represents ideas, creativity, passion. Okay, water represents emotions. So you got all these emotions in the pot, and you got the fire stirring it up, the passions, and all of the things like that. Well, today we've got a situation where people are going out there, and there's a lot of feelings and emotions about today, a lot of passion about today. So these are definitely two elements involved in the workings of what's going on. So, you know, it seems to be par for the course with where we're at, or we are actually at where we should be, because these are where the planets and the stars seem to be reflecting. All right. So that's what we have going on right there. On the moon phase, we're 53% of the way full, making our way back down to a new moon again. About another week. And on the Mayan Oracle, we're at a 6-tone day. 6-tone days are days where the kin and the guide are the same. So today it is the wind. So today is the rhythmic wind, guided by the wind. The 6th tone is the rhythmic tone. We're on the 6th position of the wave spell of navigation and synchronicity. So today's all about communication. Communication of this process. So listen to the wind. Very simple thing here. It's the wind. It's communication. Listen to the wind. All right, the phrase for today is I organize in order to communicate, balancing breath. I seal the input of spirit with the rhythmic tone of equality. I'm guided by my own power doubled. And on the Gregorian calendar, it is the 6th of November, 2012. All right, so moving right along, 45 days till December 21st, 2012. Let's continue on with our theme. This is part 2 of the Mayan, Incan, Egyptian prophecy. I'm going to play all 4 parts this week. This is a very good piece, so here we go. Check it out.
The gravitational plane. We will continue to experience severe weather and ecological effects, such as earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and volcanic activity with increased frequency and intensity. As we penetrate the densest portion of the galactic plane and experience the full gravitational effects, we may witness unprecedented solar flares, unexpected meteor showers, and one or more geographical pole shifts. Subsequently, unexpected celestial objects may pass through the solar system, as they too are influenced by the gravitational plane. This may account for the ancient records describing several past worldwide catastrophes accompanied by passing bodies, comets, or what some researchers today refer to as Planet X. So if these ancient civilizations knew what was coming over the horizon, due to cyclic patterns and scientific calculations we have lost through one of history's gaps, then what exactly was it that they knew? Even if pole shifts take place in a cyclic pattern, they don't occur on their own. Something has to cause them. Something so predictable and blatant that the Mayans, Aztecs, Incas, and Egyptians all saw it coming. Since a geographical pole shift would most likely result in a permanent change in the axis of the Earth, the effects would also have immediate implications on global climate, causing new weather patterns and regional temperature changes. Places that were once desert might now be plush, or areas that were once abundant with vegetation and life may become a frozen wasteland, areas like Antarctica.
Recently, scientists have discovered huge petrified forests underneath the ice in Antarctica. These trees have grown as high as 80 feet and have leaves, which is indicative of warm climate trees. This, without a doubt, shows us that this region was once very warm and swarming with life. Compounding evidence tells us that these pole shifts occurred quickly, very quickly, but we are just now beginning to understand how quickly an unexpected and massive geological changes can actually occur.
On September 26, 2005, geologist Derija Ayalou and his colleagues from Addis Ababa University were conducting research on the desert plain in central Ethiopia when an unexpected earthquake hit the area. In a matter of seconds, the small geological research team had just witnessed history in the making. For the first time in modern history, human beings were able to witness and record the first stages in the birth of a new ocean, an ocean that quickly will split Africa apart. In recent months, hundreds of new crevices have formed to help split the desert floor, and the ground has now slumped by as much as 328 feet. The ground continues to sink, which will begin accumulating water from the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
John Major Jenkins is a researcher and scholar on the history of the Mayan Indians of Mexico. He has successfully proven in his book, Maya Cosmogenesis 2012, that they were aware of the center of the galaxy and of its importance in Earth's history.
I looked into the Maya mythology, the Popol Vuh, the hero twin myth, and I was able to identify certain astronomical features that seemed to be important to the ancient Maya, one of which is the Maya sacred tree. And following some clues by Maya scholars in decoding the Maya writing, the Maya sacred tree is the crossing point formed by the Milky Way and the ecliptic. Now, this was very interesting to me because looking at star charts, I noticed that this crossing point in Sagittarius, Scorpio region, is exactly where the galactic center is located. So I started to think that the galactic center might be something that the Maya were aware of. One question that of course came up is how could the Maya be aware of the galactic center? I mean, we tend to assume that this is something that was discovered fairly recently by science with radio astronomy and so on. But when we imagine looking at the Milky Way arching across the sky, our Milky Way is saucer-shaped, and in fact there's a very bright and wide area of the Milky Way in the region of Sagittarius. And so I concluded by looking at the Milky Way with just the naked eye alone one could pretty easily determine that this was an important part of the Milky Way. In fact, given that the Maya mythologized the Milky Way as the great cosmic mother, it would seem a pretty straightforward step to take that to the next level and see that they were looking at the galactic center as the womb, or the creation place of the sky, because that's pretty much what it looks like. It's very bright and very wide. It's called the nuclear bulge. Astrophysicists recognize that this is the area of the Milky Way out of which everything in our galaxy, including us, has come.
The calendar advances. Galactic forces move into alignment. The Mayan prophecy approaches. In the aftermath of downfall, a new order emerges. In fact, the Mayan calendar does suggest that after the year 2012, a new age might emerge. What this would be like is not clear. After 2012, Katun 2 is due to come around once more. Perhaps its prophecy, as recorded by Chalam Balam, offers a clue of what to expect. For half there will be food, for others misfortunes. A time of the end of the word of God. A time for uniting for a cause.
Although the outline of the galaxy's spiral arm is visible to the naked eye, the galactic center itself is hidden from view. The galactic center only becomes visible during a galactic core outburst. Even with the aid of optical telescopes, the center of the galaxy cannot be seen directly due to the dense clouds of cosmic dust that concentrate along the galaxy's equatorial plane. Even though we can't see the center of the galaxy, apparently the authors of the zodiac knew of its location. The signs for each of the 12 constellations have been around since ancient times. The glyphs for Scorpio and Sagittarius are the only ones among the zodiacal signs to incorporate arrows, and both are adjacent in sequence. When arranged to reflect the way these constellations actually appear in the sky, these two arrows, or pointers, are seen to face one another, as if they were indicating some position in the sky. In fact, they appear to be intentionally pointing out the location of galactic center. It may, therefore, be far from coincidental that amongst the ancient characters assigned to play specific roles in the zodiac, that the sign Sagittarius is portrayed as an archer. And he is aiming his arrow almost directly at galactic center. We also find that the tail of the scorpion is very near galactic center. In fact, two of the stars that make up the scorpion's tail, Lambda Scorpio and Upsilon Scorpio, are named Shala and Lisath in Arabian star charts. Both of these mean the sting. When lines are added to connect these three tail stars with the galactic center, Scorpio takes on the shape of an upward arching arrow. Since the galactic center can at times release lethal outbursts of cosmic ray particles, such deadly symbolism is quite appropriate. However, the archer in Sagittarius is not pointing his arrow directly at the center of our galaxy. If we lead a trajectory in the direction that Sagittarius is presently aiming his arrow, we find that it misses the galactic center by 2.5 degrees of longitude. Using a computer-aided star map, we can see that there was a time when Sagittarius aimed his arrow much closer to the center of our galaxy. Looking at the position of these stars as they were in earlier times, we find that Sagittarius was aiming directly at the heart of the scorpion about 16,000 years ago, or about 14,000 BC.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Dirk. Thank you very much. This is the UFO news for today. I have 5 stories. 5 stories for us today. First story comes to us from Hawaii. This was a fast-moving jet, it says, that was flying over. It says breaking UFO news. UFO caught on a cell phone camera from plane. This was in October. Footage recorded by female passenger on a plane October 26th. Thanks to the anonymous girl who gave me this stunning video to share with the world. Alright, so there we go. Pretty amazing what she captured. And you can see it's analyzed all kind of different ways. There's the object. It's moving pretty fast. You can see it's this probably, I think this is the shape here, or this whole one right here. It's moving pretty quick. You know, the plane's moving pretty fast, so for this thing to be going across it, it's really got to be moving, huh? Okay, so the link's available. The next one we're going to go is to Norway, and this was this weird looking light out here. It's not the moon. For that I had the back. For that I had in the back said hobby photographer Siv Helen Alterskjar. Very strange. I've never seen anything like this, says Auroral Research. Alterskjar, who lives in Oxford outside Moa Yarena, was out to photograph the northern lights at night, November, when she suddenly came upon the mysterious light. I take some light measurements, asked for the camera for aurora photography, and took some exposure, she said. It was when she got home to check the image on the PC that she saw the sharp white light in the far right. Here's the picture right there. Refresh your memory. Okay. So this is what she saw, and now she wonders if there's an actual explanation. So you can see it's a longer article, but definitely an interesting sighting. What is that? Check it out. Alright, over to Los Angeles. Decide if this one's real or not. This one says this man is able to call a UFO using his thoughts. Video is recorded by a guy named Joe in downtown LA. Earlier this year, a man came to the same spot, taught people that if you pray to them, calling to them, then the UFO orbs will come out of the clouds and allow you to see them from a distance. Joe apparently using the same method in the park this time, and it works. He successfully recorded a white orb in the sky, and others were there with their cameras, so there must be others' videos. Okay. So here we go. We do have a recording of an object in the sky. Okay, so let me get you some sound here.
Jellyfish, and it has it's like a sphere, but it moves. It's moving, and as it moves, the inside of it is changing, sort of like a plasma or something. I don't got it. Okay. But it does not stay the same. Very good. Way. Okay. Afterwards, we're gonna go to lunch. So if you want to join us, me and a couple of buddies, so we can discuss some more. If you want to, okay? You bet. Okay. I'll tell him about the Bible.
Alright, so there's more to that video. It's a 4-minute video. I'm not going to play more of it, but you get the idea of what's there, okay? That's in Los Angeles. Now, here we go above Canada. This was on the 5th, just yesterday. Bright object, some kind of sphere is recorded over Greater Sudbury. This was a city in Ontario. Alright, that's a nice bright light there, huh? And what do you think that is? Just remember, in the stories of the Bible, there's a lot of stories that talk about these burning lights, burning fires in the sky. So just remember those stories. We've all heard them. And so these are the kind of things that perhaps they were seeing. All right, and the last UFO piece today, this involves Planet X. Now, Planet X, we've heard about Planet X for a long time. There's many talks about it. And then you've got a lot of people who wanted to debunk. There's no such thing as a Planet X. Is it real? Zecharia Sitchin talks about it, but there's no real evidence. So people have been looking for it. Anyway, to cut to the chase here, here's a story. It says, hi, I keep telling people that I'm not making this up. The Planet X is visible plainly now and can be seen, photographed, and videotaped. Here is a report today that it is plainly obvious from northwest New Mexico, and she wanted me to be wrong, but there it is, right where it is when I photographed it. Here is the photo I took in October, and below is the confirmation from a person in New Mexico. Okay? And see what she says. It's not that small either. What are you waiting for? The president has to announce something anyone can see, doesn't he? It is time. Go out and look for yourself. Do you need the president to tell you what your lying eyes see? Are you in the media? Go take your own picture. Post it. What are you waiting for? Go to Zeta Talk. Understand what all this means. Okay? So, very interesting that this is what is being, what they say is being seen. There's definitely another object right there. So, is that the old Planet X that we've been hearing about? I don't know, but stories available, links available. Check it out. Go out and take your own picture. I'm going to do the same. All right? I'll be right back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Okay, ready to continue on. All right, next one up, Ron Paul. Dr. Paul, here we go. This is his weekly update.
Hello, this is Ron Paul with your weekly update for November 5th. Hurricane Sandy was one of the worst natural disasters the East Coast has ever seen. Cleanup and recovery will take months, if not years, and estimates run into tens of billions of dollars. Parts of New York and New Jersey will never be the same. Entire seashore communities have been wiped out, but the determination to rebuild has been lauded as courageous and admirable. Yet, as with all natural disasters, Sandy raises uncomfortable questions about the extent to which taxpayers should fund the cleanup and the extent to which government programs create moral hazards. For example, FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, are expected to pick up the tab for much of the flood damage caused by the hurricane. Of course, this will mean more federal debt and inflation for the rest of us, since the program only has about $4 billion to work with and is already $18 billion in debt from Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. Many think there is a need for the government to provide flood insurance of this kind. After all, the market would never provide insurance in flood-prone areas at an affordable price. But shouldn't that tell us something? Shouldn't that tell us that it is a losing proposition to insure homes in coastal areas and floodplains often threatened by severe and destructive weather patterns? And if it's a losing proposition, should taxpayers subsidize the inevitable losses arising from federal flood insurance? The NFIP disguises the real cost of flood insurance in flood-prone areas, which influences home building and sales in such areas. Recklessly taking unwise risk when risk is underpriced is known as moral hazard. When politicians decide that private insurance premiums are too high, as with houses built in flood plains, the solution is to underprice the risk through federal subsidies. The obvious and expected outcome is more danger to life and limb when disaster strikes. Even NFIP has been forced to raise rates significantly in coastal areas and is now dropping second homes from coverage altogether. Many assume it is compassionate to entrust government central planners with disaster recovery. However, the greatest compassion brings results, not just good intentions. And we've seen how bureaucratic organizations like FEMA mismanage recovery and relief in the wake of Hurricanes Katrina and Ike. Organizations such as the Red Cross and private companies like Home Depot and Duracell have already stepped in admirably to help those in need, and we can only hope FEMA has learned this time not to impede and frustrate private efforts as they have in the past. Above all, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims of Hurricane Sandy in this tremendously difficult time, and hope they can get their lives back together as quickly and seamlessly as possible. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414 every Monday. The written text can be found on my website, www.house.gov/Paul, under the heading Texas Straight Talk. Thanks for calling.
All right. More good advice from Dr. Paul. Okay. So today we've got elections. Today it's the big election day everyone's been waiting for. You know, flipping through the channels yesterday, I've learned key word that they're all using: enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. There's a lot of enthusiasm for this election. That's what they're saying. A lot of them. All the stations, no matter where I went through, they all have like the same script. So as you're flipping through and you hear them use the word enthusiasm, know that they're all using it. And then, here's an interesting little thing. I like to do this with people that I know that watch like Fox News all the time. I will listen up, hear what Fox is saying, and then I'll talk to the people that I know just watch that, and I'll listen to see how much of what Fox is doing sticks. And you would be amazed at how much. Now, you probably wouldn't be amazed because you're probably dealing with exactly the same thing out there. But it's mind-boggling to see how, you know, the weak-minded really are succumb to the propaganda that's put in their way, and they just start repeating. I mean, on a regular basis, I'll call and I'll talk to people that I know, and you know, they'll repeat verbatim what Fox News told them, and I don't understand why, but it just, the programming works. So that's what's going on. People are being programmed by the media. The media doesn't care what's going on with the people. Okay, they're reporting these stories that are being told to them, and sometimes you can see the media is all confused because they don't understand what's going on either. They're trying to put all this information together to make it acceptable for the people to understand, but the information that they're given is all nonsense, and so it's all a convoluted mess. So here we are with the elections, and everybody's been all excited, and the media is saying that people can't contain themselves waiting for this election. You know what? We're just waiting for it to be over. It's not like we have two great people put up to run for the office. We have two of the lesser evils. That's what people think of this election. And that's not good. That's not how you become a great nation. Get the lesser of two evils in there. We want to be a great nation. No. You don't say put the guy in who can hurt you the least. You put the guy in there who could help you the best. And we haven't put that up yet. Now, I know a lot of folks are running off to the ballots and running off to vote because they believe that their vote actually is going to make a difference, that what they have to say today makes a difference. And it's great that you're participating in a process. That in itself, at least you're not being apathetic. But the reality is that vote you're doing isn't going to where you think it's going. You're voting for an elector. And an elector is going to go off, and the electors are going to do what they're going to do. As a matter of fact, you've heard, or maybe not, the mainstream media has even talked about this might be one of those years where the popular vote and the electoral vote is opposite. In other words, in common plain language, doesn't matter what you say, they're going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to do the opposite if they want. So rushing off, getting in fights with people about who they're voting for, who they're not, it's all nonsense. It's all a game intended to keep everyone busy having these little nonsensical fights. But Romney and Obama, they're both backed by the same individuals. It doesn't matter which one of them gets into office, the policies will continue. The policies will continue. It doesn't matter which one. So we, the people, need to find ways to circumvent this situation. And the only way is people have to start getting honest with themselves and with what's going on in the country, because there's a lot of dishonesty. A lot of people out there call themselves Christians, say that they believe in God, say they believe in the Ten Commandments, believe in what Jesus said. But you tell me, when's the last time you heard Jesus stand up and say we got to go invade a country? We have to go to war against some country to get their oil or to get what they have, or what? When's the last time Jesus encouraged war and fighting and violence? None that I can remember. Yet, how many Christians out there will follow the president when he says we got to go fight a war? Remember the Bible? 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. But man will go on, man will kill, man won't care. Because man on this planet, here on earth at this time, unfortunately, gives more credence to what man has to say than what God has to say. They give God the lip service, oh God, we're going to listen to you. But when it really comes down to it, man doesn't listen to man to God, because if man was listening to God, we wouldn't be out killing. We wouldn't be doing the things that God said not to do. So first reality is we got to get real about that. And then we got to make amends for that. Because what if all of this time of 2012 and the return of the gods, what if it's exactly that? And God's coming back, and God wants to do an accounting of how you've behaved. Have you listened? Anyway, I know I'm just rambling on, but these are all the things that are going on in my head right now and in these days. So here's something that's on the ballot that needs to be addressed. This is number 37. Now, we've talked about the GMOs and Monsanto and how they're creating these Franken products that aren't really good for people. They're filled with more garbage. That's why kids these days are not getting the nutrition, but they're getting bigger, because there's products in there to make kids bigger. But as far as giving them nutritionalness, there's not a lot of that. Anyway, it's coming down to the wire on Proposition 37. After weeks of spending $1 million a day at broadcast outright lies, the Monsanto funded No on 37 campaign has managed to crush the early lead of the Yes campaign, making the ballot measure a very close race. If you live in California, your yes vote on Proposition 37 is urgently needed, or the GMO labeling ballot measure may not pass at all. The No on 37 campaign, funded by the 6th largest pesticide manufacturers in the world, had released some of the nastiest, dirtiest tricks ever witnessed in any campaign. For starters, they have committed a felony crime by impersonating the FDA and fabricating a quote from the FDA, which was used on mailers designated to misinform voters. This criminal activity is precisely the kind of thing these chemical poisoners frequently resort to in order to maintain their little dirty secret of toxic GMOs hidden in your food. All right, a lot more to the article. Links available. Here's a second article about that same subject. This comes from Natural Society. Monsanto-funded anti-GMO labeling campaign gets away with impersonating government agencies. This kind of confirms and goes on what was being said there. So, misuse of the United States government seal can lead to a $250,000 fine, 20 years in prison, and 3 years of supervised release, unless you're a campaign organization funded by a major corporation like Monsanto. In a move completely ignored by the mainstream media, many of which have financial ties to such corporations, the Anti-GMO Labeling No on 37 committee paid for and disseminated a physical piece of direct mail that not only entirely misused the FDA logo, but even supported a fabricated quote. A quote that even the FDA has on record, stated on record, that was never stated. So, lies, lies, lies. Can't let them have their lies. So, vote yes. We want to make sure. All right? Articles there. Okay, now, what we're going to have happen with this election is, let's just kind of guess in advance, all right? More than likely, we're going to be hearing all about voter fraud, and we're going to hear about a recount. And sooner or later, this may come up. This was something that came on last week. I'm just going to play this. This is the report that was on about Obama, and a phone call was made in to the news station itself. Listen to this. This is kind of incredible, actually. Here we go.
This is Rev. Michelle Hopkins. This video aired on Phoenix, Arizona CBS affiliate KPHO just before 3:30 p.m. local time on Friday, October 19th, 2012, 2.5 weeks ahead of the presidential election. For 17 seconds, Phoenix, Arizona CBS News affiliate KPHO ran a lower third graphic that showed that Obama had won the November 6th election over Governor Mitt Romney with 99% of the precincts reporting. The CBS News graphic showed Obama winning the election with 43% of the vote nationwide to Romney's 40%, or 4,237,966 votes to 38,116,216 votes. Can someone please tell me how President Obama has won the election fully 2.5 weeks before the actual vote? And I am very interested in the same questions this woman had when she called into the station.
CBS 5 News.
Yeah, you transferred me to a recording?
I told you you would have to call back tomorrow. There's no one here tonight. It's Sunday night.
Okay, but we need an explanation as to how you have presidential results across the screen of a Judge Judy show when the presidential election is not for 16 days.
Right. Well, like I said, ma'am, you'd have to call back tomorrow and get an answer then, because I don't
Well,
have one for you.
well, somebody has to have an answer there. Why are you running that clip? Where did it come from? We have a right to know.
I just told you that it was a master control technical glitch. That's all I can
A
tell you.
master control technical glitch that had actual results numbers on it.
I've seen it. I have. I don't know.
All right, so but where did those numbers come from?
That's what I just said. I said I do not know where those numbers came from. I don't know. I can't tell you where they came from.
Okay, that's not a good enough answer though.
Well, that's
okay, because we're at.
Okay, so that's pretty much where that rest of that conversation is going to go. The guy doesn't know what's going on. But a technical glitch. This is what this guy says. Now, a technical glitch means a piece of equipment, a piece of technology makes a mistake. And that shorts out, shuts off. But a technical glitch doesn't create content. A technical glitch doesn't type in what was typed in there. So, somebody has to input that in. Now, you could buy this guy's, excuse of a technical glitch, or you can use your common sense. I suggest that, because throughout your life, you've experienced technical glitches to know what a technical glitch is, and you also understand that the information that was on that screen doesn't get put there unless somebody inputted that. It just doesn't happen. So, rather than any confusion, just use your common sense. You understand, right? Okay. So things are going on. See, I encourage you to use your common sense because people aren't encouraged to use that. They're encouraged to think according to the way they're being told to think. Just use your common sense and it all makes sense. Now, here is an article. It's also from Natural News. Just makes a good point. Says the liberal media, White House owes preppers and survivalists a massive apology in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy. In the wake of Superstorm Sandy, preppers are the new prophets. Those who fail to prepare are the new homeless. For as long as we can all remember, preppers and survivalists have been derided by the mainstream media labeled kooks and wingnuts for stockpiling food, water, ammunition, medical supplies, and emergency gear. Only paranoid conspiracy theorists engage in evil preparedness activities, we were told by the sellout mainstream media, and they've convinced many that the preppers may even be terrorists. The very word stockpiling has been used in a derogatory manner, as if somehow bad for private citizens to stockpile food, medicine, and emergency supplies that might save lives in a crisis. Never mind that the government stockpiles all of these things for its own survival. Citizens are routinely taught that stockpiling is bad. Suddenly, all that has changed in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy. Preppers are the ones who aren't starving, freezing, or begging the government to come and save them with emergency supplies. Those who fail to prepare are now subject to the chaotic, incompetent actions of the federal government, which is predictably operating in a never-ending state of logistical failure. One example, in response to the ongoing scarcity of gasoline, New York announced that the Defense Department would be opening up free gas stations near the areas hardest hit, but that residents should stay away and let first responders fuel up ahead of them. This, of course, set off a wave of confusion. It was then announced that those civilians, a derogatory term against civilian, only used in a police state, who were already in line could stand in line, but no civilians could join the line. Many people waited up to 6 hours for gasoline. Tempers flared. Fistfights were commonplace, and state troopers had to be sent to the gas station to keep the peace. Preppers, of course, already stored away spare fuel at home and therefore didn't need to wait in line and subject themselves to the chaos and the desperation. So, very good point made in this article here. Very good point. It's unfortunate that what happened on the East Coast happened. Very unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there are so many people suffering right now. You know, thoughts and prayers go out to them. However, I must say that many of these folks out there have been at one time or another been around information indicating that their government was incompetent. And many of them probably didn't listen, and now they're experiencing firsthand. Yet while those who have been prepared and understood are a little bit more prepared for the situation. Well, use this as a learning point if you're living out somewhere in the rest of the world and you haven't had some sort of emergency hit you. Learn and pay attention to what's going on. If you keep giving your trust to the government agencies, they're only going to let you down because they are not able to handle their own business right now. They're lying. Left and right, they're lying to you. And the media is trying to sell you their lies. Unfortunately, there's a lot of you out there who are buying the lies, believing the story. I don't know how, I don't know why, so come back to your common sense and realize what they're telling you is just a lie. Here's a piece by Dutch Sins. This is a 7-8 minute piece. I'm going to probably play the whole thing for you here because this is a very good piece about the hurricane. This is dealing with weather modification. Here we go.
Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here 4:17 p.m. Central Time on Monday, November 5th, 2012. And I've got you over here on my website. I'm going to put a link down below for this so you can follow along, go through everything I'm about to talk about here. But what I'm getting ready to go into, guys, is something that's been studied now for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, by myself and dozens of other researchers around the world. And we can pretty much view this as a confirmation, 100%, that NEXRAD radar, in conjunction with other more powerful systems, is being used to control the weather, or at least attempt to control the weather. So, what I'm going to take you through are a series of posts. This is part 1 and part 2. If you're not familiar with the subject at all, you're going to have to go read this, along with both HARP posts that myself and Resonated have done, to bring yourself up to speed onto what I'm going to show you. However, even a simple breakdown of what the events are will lead to a general understanding of what they are doing and what has been done. Now, the most recent evidence comes from Hurricane Sandy. Now, to understand what happened with Hurricane Sandy, we have to go back a year to Hurricane Irene in 2011, in August of 2011. So, I'm going to take you to the first screenshot here. You guys need to go watch this video that Resonated did. It's an hour long. He takes you through part 1 and part 2 of this on hurricane weather manipulation, from cloud seeding, which is a slang term, is called chemtrails, but we should call it cloud seeding. That's the proper terminology for it. So heavy cloud seeding activities before Hurricane Sandy, then a series of high frequency pulses occurred. Now this is a screenshot, and what you'll see here is, of course, the back end of the hurricane down here near Florida, and a high frequency microwave pulse coming into the back of the storm. And then also there was a high frequency radar pulse from a NEXRAD radar station along the coast of North Carolina. And the storm went right north of North Carolina, made a left-hand turn, and turned into the east coast. Now, if that was just on its own, we could say, okay, that's just some kind of strange anomaly, only happened once. But if you go back a year to Hurricane Irene, and we'll wait for this to load here, the same thing happened. Now let me zoom it in here, click on this screenshot, and I'll take you over to show these to you on Climate Viewer as well. But the screenshot shows it. Okay, here's Hurricane Irene, and you can see the high frequency microwave pulse coming in from the same direction, and then a NEXRAD radar flash out of North Carolina. That's very interesting to see that happen 2 years in a row, only during hurricanes. To me, what that says is that both of these frequency flashes from the NEXRAD stations and both microwave pulses coming from down in the direction of Arecibo and Puerto Rico are indeed intentional. Now here's Climate Viewer 3D. Jim Lee has put these plotted out so you can zoom in. You can turn them on and off on each side so you can see each individual flash. And there we go. So you can see this is Hurricane Sandy. This is from the CIMSS. So we'll turn that off and we'll go look at Hurricane Irene. Alright, same thing. When it gets near the Bahamas, the back end of the storm is being pulsed by a high frequency microwave. And then again, a pulse comes out of the NEXRAD station. And what that says to me again is that there is an intent to the flashes that are occurring from ground-based stations. And that brings me back over to the whole post here, which you can go down through, and I lay it out for you point by point. And that brings us back ultimately to tornadoes and storms being caused by these high frequency pulses. We have seen these types of pulses come out of Key West. We've seen them come out of central Oklahoma, multiple places around the country, and within a certain amount of time we see storms come to the center of those pulses. Now I've assembled all that information. I'm going to put a link down below for this. If you're still skeptical after seeing all this, you can come through and look at each confirmation. So when I see a pulse appear, make note of it and come back and follow up as to whether or not the location gets hit with storms. Now I have several video confirmations. You scroll through those, and several text confirmations. Most recently being on October 22nd out of Lubbock, Texas. We had a frequency flash, make note of the area of the high intense flash, and then I issued a warning, say watch it for 48 hours, and within 48 hours look at the area where the high frequency flash was. We had hail, strong damaging winds, and look around the area. It's the only spot to get hit within 48 hours. And that went away the next day. That's just one example of over 50 that I've got on here. And then on top of that, now we have it. We have proof. And multiple researchers agree with me. This is not just me. This pulse going into the center of Sandy at the same time that happened, within the 24-hour period of that occurring, we saw a possible tornado detected in Puerto Rico, where Arecibo is located. Arecibo being up here on the north part of the island. So that's pretty interesting. And I'm considering this a full-on confirmation for us that pulses of radar are intended to do something inside of a storm. It's not just an accident, and we can just go with that. We'll have to figure out what is being pulsed, what frequency. Now that we know that there is an intent, that they're doing this during a hurricane 2 years in a row, and we know there's an intent, with the microwave background imagery here, that there's high frequency pulses coming from out to sea or down near Arecibo. Hang in there, folks. Much love to everybody who stood behind me on this, and to all the other researchers who put time and effort in on this, to Resonated, to Daw Design, Tattooed 1009, Bethany Home 7, Warren Error Daily Cost, all the people in the Adepto or Perfectus group, the Facebook groups, the Google Plus groups. All your work has paid off. So in the face of adversity, of all the people who denied, that said that it could not be done, well, here it is. It was done twice. Only during the hurricanes. Only from the certain station in North Carolina. Only coming from the southeast tip of the storm down near Arecibo. The chances of that happening just by accident. So now we know what we need to pay attention for, folks. And much love again to everybody who stood behind me on this. There was times where I really seriously wanted to quit. And I'm glad we didn't. Last year, if we weren't paying attention to Irene, this year the puzzle pieces wouldn't be put together. And now you see the relation. Cheers, folks.
All right, so that's some really good research going on right there. And, you know, it's important we pay attention to these things because this is real. Now, let me ask, do you remember being alive during the time of Atlantis? Because I remember those times, and I have memories, bits and pieces. But one of the things that I recall back then was the weather manipulation that was going on. And so when I see all the manipulation going on, it just brings me back to the same stupidity that we never really learned our lesson, and that we're going through the same nonsense. So, I don't know, just a thought. If you have any thoughts on that, any memories, feelings, whatever, go ahead and send them across. firstcontactradio@yahoo.com. All right, RFID chips. This was coincidence? I don't know. New Jersey contracted RFID evacuee tracking tech just days before Sandy formed. Presciently, the state of New Jersey announced a 5-year contract for RFID tracking technology used to assist in evacuation by identifying and monitoring the location of evacuees and emergency assets during hurricanes or other disasters, just 4 days before Hurricane Sandy began. A press release, this would be it right here. A press release was published October 18th announcing Radiant RFID, based in Austin, Texas, would provide the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness with the RFID technology it already is used during disasters in Texas and other locales during the 2008 Hurricane Gustav. And then there's a whole press release, yada, 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 yada. But they want you to be chipped. That's it. That's the plan. All right. Here we go. This is blowout in Gulf of Mexico. Wellhead releasing unknown product into the water off Louisiana coast. Something we should also be aware of at 6:40 on the 5th November, U.S. CG sector New Orleans contacted NOAA SSE about a report of wellhead releasing unknown product into the water. The location was described as Northern East Bay without precise coordinates. The release began early this morning, exact time unknown, and the rate of discharge is unknown. The release is unsecured and overflight is scheduled. There's limited information at this time, but it says it's a well blowout, so let's keep ourselves informed about that. Okay, so you've seen plenty of signs that 2012 is turning out to be somewhat of a chaotic ending. You've got the whole chaos that's going to go on with the closing of this race. Do you really believe that it's going to be over today? Do you think? Now, just knowing history, the United States is a corporation, runs different rules than the way that things are. They're not going to decide tonight. They're not going to decide tomorrow. They're not going to decide, in the next couple weeks, because it's already been decided. They already know who they're going to put into power. They're just going through this whole charade so all of the peasants can get with the program, feel like they're participating. Now, if you think that we are past the king and the peasant mentality, you really haven't been paying too much attention to what's going on in the world, but there's very much that mentality going on. Everybody's the peasants, or in this case, a franchisee, because the government is the corporation. So we see all the nonsense. We need to find ourselves a way to turn away from all of that. And we all have protections around us. We all have angels, guides, spirit guides, guardian angels. So here's a short piece from In5D that speaks to that. And that'd be a good reminder. So here we go.
Hi, this is Greg from In5D, and today we're going to be talking about spirit guides and guardian angels. According to Lorna Byrne, she's been able to see angels ever since she was a child.
They're actually very, very beautiful. I see the guardian angel behind every single person, and the guardian angel is, what would I say, a very powerful force behind someone, and much brighter than other angels, and nearly always at times wouldn't give a male or female appearance. And they're extremely beautiful angels.
As for myself, I know they exist, and I firmly believe that everyone has at least one guardian angel. For example, if I ask my guardian angel for love, just something as simple as love, I can feel the hair raise on my body as if I'm being wrapped in the arms of an angel. As for spirit guides, I got to tell you guys this story. I was born and raised in the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York, but I've always had an affinity to the ocean and palm trees. So one night I had this dream where I met one of my spirit guides, and she introduced herself as Tamara. And all I remember saying was, Tamara, 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 over and over again, and it woke me up out of my sleep. So I go to my computer and look up what Tamara means, and it means palm tree. So it all makes sense. What do you think? Do you believe in spirit guides and guardian angels? Do you have stories that you'd like to share with us? If so, leave your comments below this video. Check out the article that goes with this video. You can find the link in the More Info section of the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to In5D videos if you haven't already. That's it for now. This is Greg from In5D.
All right, so yeah, talk to your guides, talk to the angels around you. We all have them. They're all there. All right, one last piece here before we do our meditation. With all the talk about the Mayans, Mayan calendar, I found a really good blog post here. It's about little interesting, little known facts about the Mayans, and talks about things from how they enhance their child's features. Here we see their head in this way, to their medical techniques and their architectural games, their spiritual practices, hallucinogens, painkillers, their rituals, So, and then of course we get down to the very end when it talks about the Mayan calendar and what's going on, writing skills, and the mystery of how they disappeared. So, with all of, and there's not any time right now to go over this, but with all that's going on in the world and to talk about the Mayans, this seemed to be appropriate to be able to look at that information, at least have it available, right? We're talking so much about them. It's kind of good to know a little bit more who they are, what they're about. All right, go ahead and close your eyes. Relax. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale. I want you to imagine now, in the middle of the space inside of your head, just imagine you're in an open room, very large space. It's comfortable. It is your space. It's the place where you go when you want to get away. It's the place where you've been going since you've been born. Some are more conscious of this place than others, but everyone has one of these places inside. And as you relax and remain silent and quiet, I want you to simply think about the angels around you. The angels that appear in your life as your guards, your guardians, your guides. I want you to think about your spirit guides around you. And ask them to communicate with you, to help you to understand more of what is going on with the world and the change. Your guides are not there to tell you what to do, but to simply to help guide you along. And as you ask questions of them, you learn more. And that is the process of life, to keep learning, growing, evolving. So imagine yourself growing in wisdom, growing in intellect. Imagine yourself walking through life completely confident in all that you do, because you know that you are in touch with your common sense. You are in touch with those around you that provide you with insight. You're in communication with nature, and you allow and accept the guidance of the angels and guides who are there to assist you. And as you trust the guidance provided throughout, we find that life helps to navigate us along exactly where we need to be. Imagine all of your chakras are activated: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and indigo. Allow the energy to flow freely through each of the chakras. Honor your connection to all that is, was, and ever shall be. Honor your connection to the energy of the cosmos that flows through, as well as the energy of the earth. And from your heart chakra, just send out a wave of love all around the planet, from where you are all the way until it comes back, encircling the entire planet. And know that everyone else who is doing this simply multiplies that effect of love over and over. Now, as we go into the world today, let us keep our minds open. Let us keep our hearts open. And let us use the gift of discernment provided to us from Spirit, along with all of the other gifts of Spirit. And let's think a good thought for everyone in the world today. Let's think a peaceful thought for everyone in America for today. And with that, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right, there you have it. It's the end of our show. Prayer, meditation. Go out there, be safe today. Use your common sense. And we'll reconvene tomorrow. If you have any ideas and thoughts about what's going on with 2012, your perspective on things, go ahead and send them on in. Any videos and things. Let's just keep this theme moving along. We're only 45 days away, so let's get the most out of it we can, all right? firstcontactradio@yahoo.com. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Peace. I'm out of here.